Okay, so here's a little tutorial on using the Spelling Cloud keyring. So this is your portable version of the Spelling Clouds. You've got your Spelling Cloud mat. There are chants on the back, lots of space to spell lots of words. So we've got the Spelling Clouds on the mat, and of course we've got the Spelling Clouds on the walls, which is what we have in classrooms, and some children are lucky enough to have one at home. We are, within our phonics teaching, covering these high frequency graphemes in this order, but there's only about 100 there, and there are at least 350, 400 graphemes that are used for the English code when we're talking on paper. So using the keyring, what I want you to think is that if it's a word that the child already knows, then they can often be prompted to think about the right choices by looking at the clouds. But the clouds are really for reinforcing, consolidating after you have shown the word. So the process is always for the spelling routine. It's always like, you know, if you give them a word, like say, for example, systems. I don't know why I thought of that. Systems. So if they were to spell the word systems, they might have seen the word before. They might have been conscious of the word before, which is why we do speedy pair decoding. Have a look at a different video for that. But to spell the word systems, we think about duck hands first. So we get the sounds mapped out first. So systems. Systems. Then we've got the speech sound lines. Systems. Then we often play it just to check. Systems. Speech sound numbers to be sure. Systems. Now this is normally where we would then use the sounds app or put the monsters on. So we would put the monsters which represent the speech sound. Oh, I need my spare. Where's my, sorry. Yeah, that's what happens when you choose a word like systems and you haven't planned it out. So I need, let's choose my Miss Emma card. So we can have that one as a spare, which I've actually put on the top of the new monster mats. So we've got spare Miss Emma's. So if it's sound that's twice and you've only got the one here, you can put this one. So systems. So this is checking the sounds that they're hearing. So there would be the schwa, and then the last sound is a z. Okay, so the children will put out the monsters because the monsters just represent the speech sounds. Systems, and we usually stop there to talk about the sounds. Are these the sounds you use when you say the word? Then we check with the IPA, so to phonetics.com or similar, to see the phonetic symbols. So we're having a look at, like that last one, z, that last sound, z. So we're having a look at the IPA to check the sounds and seeing whether how we say it is the same as the IPA says. The IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, is about a universally recognized way of spelling, as if we're all talking on paper with the same accent, which of course we don't talk normally with the same accent, but that's what we're kind of agreeing with phonics, is that we're talking on paper with this universally accepted way that we're saying things. Okay, so now at this point, they could either think, well, what do I think it could be? But that can be a really long and laborious, and that can often not be a great way to do this. So the best way to do it now is to show the word systems. It's like going to IKEA. It's much better to see it fully ready constructed and then break it down. So when you come home, you can think, oh, what was it? And you can break it. So that's the thing, you see, that I said, if they've seen the word before in a book, then they can think, well, I know what it is, and they can spell it because they use what they've got because they know how to spell it. If they don't, you've got to give it to them. Like with IKEA, you've got to see it to go home to think, I know what it looks like now, I'm going to make it. Okay, so you show the word. Okay, so system. So what's the sound picture for s? It's an S. This is when we'd use letter names because, you know, different representations for the sounds. So s, I. So the representation for the I sound there is a Y. S, I, s, I, s. The representation for the sound picture is a T. The representation for the schwa is an E. The representation, that's that grunty sound. The representation for the is an M, and for the Z is an S. Okay, so we've got 3 S's there. 2 of them represent the speech sound, and 1 of them represents Z. So we've got S, I, S, T, Ms systems. So this is how we've got it. So we've got the sounds, we've got the representations. This is when you would look at the cloud to say, right, is there anything here you didn't know? Did you know that the S could represent the Z? So they would find the Z, which is in the purple code level. Easier if you find the monster, and easier if you're not holding on to a, oh sorry, yellow code level, and easier if you're not holding on to holding onto a camera at the same time. Okay, so this is when you would say, right, let's have a look then. So can we see that representation for Z? There it is. There's the representation for Z. This is the thing that we didn't know about the code. So we know this could be we didn't necessarily know that these were going to be the representations in this word, but we have met those before. But we might not have met that S for the Z, which is fine. So as I said, and every time we go to have a look at the cloud, they'll often look at something else and go, oh, Buzz. Buzz has 2 Zs. Z. What's the example for Z? Oh, it's like that for ears, nothing. Yes, of course I knew that one. Like in my high frequency words. Like in w, o, z, was. W, o, z, was. W, o, z, was. Where the A represents the O sound, etc. So the clouds are about exploring. There is not a chance in this earth that you can ask a child to spell a word and then use the clouds for them to miraculously know which one to choose. They can memorize all of the choices, all 350, 400 or so choices, spelling choices. They are not going to know which ones to choose unless they've seen the word. So the more they read and the more they do speedy pair decoding, the better. But they are not going to know. They are going to know what it is likely to be. So like in the word systems, if they had to do it on their own, they're not going to do a P at the beginning, unless they did with an S, like psychology. But they're not going to choose something that could never represent that sound. And when they do, that's when we're really in trouble. But hopefully what we have is the right number of speech sounds, a representation that can represent that speech sound, even if not in this word. If we have the right number of speech sounds and a logical way to represent it, we're halfway there. But the big thing that people often miss out is show the word. Exactly what you would want to do. And you have your brain, because you can read and spell. Your brain is full of words you've seen before. So if you come to a word and you think, oh, how do I spell it? I can't remember. You know, let's say, oh, I'm going to write separate or separate. You might do that and go, oh, no, it's not that one. It's that one. Because what you're doing is your brain is kind of searching the bank of words it has already seen before, been exposed to before, to think it's that one. And that's why it's easy to read, because our brain goes, oh, yeah, that looks right. Whereas spelling, we've got to do it, and then we've got to think, well, does it look right or not? So the best thing you can do with spelling is that monster routine, so make sure you've got the mat, but monster routine, and even if you didn't use the monsters, which is unfortunate because it misses out the opportunity for you to discuss the actual phonemes, but if you've got the spelling cloud and you go through the system, show the word. That is the best advice I can give you. Spelling words, duck hands, lines, numbers, show the word, map it, might rub it off, write it a few times, and keep mapping words so that the brains are exposed to more words. The more words the brain is exposed to, the easier it is.